stage.
His first pitch as a professional is strike one to Ryan Theriot.
He's got the poise, all of the sinking fastballs, the great breaking balls, but the location is key, and he's already starting on the money.
Leake, the 8th overall pick in the first round during last year's free agent draft. That one just off the outside corner. He enters his first full professional season rated by Baseball America as the third best prospect in the Reds organization behind Todd Frazier and Yonder Alonso. And after a first pitch strike, he's missed on 3 in a row to Theriot. And there's ball 4. Let's take a look at the Reds defensively, presented by Ford. They'll go with Gomes, Stubbs, and Dickerson, left, center, and right. Roland and Votto on the corner infield positions. Cabrera and Brandon Phillips up the middle. Leake and Ramon Hernandez the battery. Leake in 18 innings during spring training only walked 4 batters. He never walked more than 1 batter in any outing, and he walks his first batter in the big leagues with a pass to Ryan Theriot. Here's Kosuke Fukudome. Strike 1.
You stand out there for your first time, and your heart is beating so fast, it sounds like a drum going off in your chest. You can't feel your arm, you can't think, your legs are shaking, and you have to overcome it.
Breaking ball a little bit low. Leake today becomes the 21st player since the draft began back in 1965 to play in the major leagues without appearing in a minor league game. Good breaking ball there. In fact, the hat he is wearing following the game will be sent to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
Backdoor breaking ball. We saw him do this many times in spring training. I told you he has 3. That's only 1 in the arsenal.
Leake ahead of Fukudome at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that ball is in the air, driven into deep right center field, and Stubbs cannot get it off the end of his glove. Theriot on his way to third. They'll hold him there. So a walk and a double to begin the Cubs' opening inning against Mike Leake.
Got this ball up a little bit, and we didn't see this much in spring training at all, and this has a lot more to do with adrenaline than it does anything else. You see the speed of Drew Stubbs there. He covered some major ground just to get to that ball.
That'll bring up Derek Lee. Theriot at third, Fukudome at second. Lee 5 hits and 16 at bats, including a home run, which he hit in the opening game in the 9th inning in this series against Francisco Cordero. Ball 1. After he delivered that pitch, he looked down at the mound. Don't know if he caught a spike or whether it's still a little wet around that mound, which they generally water down not only the mound but the home plate area and the entire infield. But now 2-0 on Derek Lee. 3-0.
And a lot of this right now is just getting in your rhythm, getting a deep breath, and getting back to where you need to be.
Lee loves to swing. 3-0. And here comes a 3-0 pitch. A 4-pitch walk to load him up with nobody out. And now Brian Price will come to the mound for a visit. If I remember correctly, you told me, Cowboy, that your major league debut, didn't you have the bases loaded? The first inning you came into a game?
I did. And Lord knows how I got out of it. I can hardly even remember it because balls were going all over the place. But I did get out of it without a run scored.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there were line drives down the left field line. Kevin Mitchell made a diving stop, kept the runner from scoring. Brett Butler ran down a 2-out blast, very similar to the one that Stubbs almost got there. It's almost as though it's a blur because everything's going on so fast. It's so much in fast forward. It's hard to even remember what you're doing.
The Cubs have him loaded with nobody out, and here's Aramis Ramirez. Strike one.
The biggest thing for Leake right now is to forget about everything that's going on around him and just look at Hernandez and the mitt, because that's all that matters.
Popped up. Infield fly rule in effect. Brandon Phillips will handle it, and that's out number one. The first out recorded by Mike Leake.
I don't put it past this kid to get a ground ball right here in a double play, and what looks like a nightmare of an inning turns into spectacular fashion.
Marlon Byrd, the batter. Byrd has started the year 2 out of 15, and both of his hits are home runs. He's knocked in 4. He did not start the opener this series. He went 0 for 3 yesterday. 1 ground ball and a pair of fly balls to right. Strike one.
Crossed him up. Put down slider. Hernandez put down slider. He threw him a fastball. It's a good thing he fouled it off. That one may have been headed for the backstop or the throat of the catcher.
0-1 to Marlon Byrd with the bases loaded, and now it's strike 2 as it's fouled off to the first base side out of play. Nothing into the count on Marlon Byrd. Pitch in the dirt, and Marlon doesn't chase it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The last player to go straight to the major leagues after being drafted, ironically enough, is here today. Xavier Nady, when he did so with the San Diego Padres back in June of 2000. 1-2 to Marlon Byrd. And again, try to get him to chase Gannon away, and Byrd doesn't even the count. All right, Cowboy, this figures to be the action pitch in this at bat here. Leake does not want to go 3-2. What are you throwing here?
It's either going to be a sinker or a third breaking ball.
Struck him out swinging for out number 2.
That's a good call by Hernandez there. Threw him 2 4-seamers early in the count that he fouled off. Came back with a sinker here, and you see the bottom drop out of that bad boy. Watch the ball drop right underneath the bat. That ball's going straight down. What Byrd sees is the same fastball as he got for the first 2 pitches, except this one is 4 miles an hour less. He's out in front, and the ball had action.
Now Alfonso Soriano with 2 down, the bases loaded. The inning started with a walk to Terrio, a double by Fukudomi, and a 4-pitch walk to Lee. Since a pop-up and a strikeout. And it's in the air, and this should end the inning. Phillips pulled off by Bruce, and how about Mike Leake? You talk about cool, you talk about poise. Bases loaded, nobody out, and comes away unscathed. Welcome to the big leagues, Mike Leake.
Well, you talked about poise, and that's what we've heard from the beginning of spring training all the way till now. And it took every bit of poise that young man had to get out of that inning after loading the bases.
So now the Reds come to bat in the bottom of the first inning against left-hander Tom Gorzolani, who they've seen plenty of through the years. Gorzolani all those years in the Pirates rotation. before being traded to the Cubs last summer along with John Graybo. In his career, Gorzelani has made 6 starts against the Reds, a 3-2 record, an ERA at 6, 2 balls and no strikes.
Gorzelani has got to throw strikes, especially early in the ball game. His changeup is the pitch he needs, but he's got to get ahead to use it. And if you don't throw strikes early in the ball game, you'll never get to the 5th inning.
Bruce Tubbs 5 of 16, a home run. That was a grand slam in the 8th inning here Friday night. Proved to be the game winner. 2-2 to Stubbs. Stubbs gone swinging to begin the 1st inning. Let's take a look at Dusty Baker's batting order. Orlando Cabrera coming up the shortstop. Joey Votto at first with Brandon Phillips, the cleanup hitter, at second. Scott Rowland at third, and Ramon Hernandez moved up to the 6th hole behind the plate. Johnny Gomes in left, Chris Dickerson in right, and Mike Leake on the mound. Cabrera 4 hits in his first 20 at-bats as a Red, has a home run and 4 runs batted in. In the air to short right, a long run out there for Fukudome, but he'll get to it. And quickly 2 gone. The Cubs on defense, brought to you by Ford. Bird again in center with Soriano in left, Fukudome in right. Ramirez, Terrio, Fontenot, Lee third to first in the infield, and the battery of Gorzelani, and for a 2nd straight day, Giovanni Soto. Joey Votto with 2 down and nobody on. A hanging breaking ball that he fouls away, strike 1. Wasn't all that long ago when a lot of people thought Gorzelani would have a chance to become one of the more rock-solid left-handers in the entire National League. You go back to 2007 with the Pirates. He was 14-10 with an ERA at 3.8. High in the air, easy for Soriano. And then he has to leap up against the wall and couldn't get it.
Soriano looked as though he leaped and didn't have to. Watch him here. He thinks he's close to the wall, and he's nowhere near it. He just flat misplayed that.
I don't know how in the world you don't charge an error on that.
That's what I'm saying. That's like dropping a foul ball over here by the dugout.
0-2 to Joey Votto. And he struck him out on the next pitch. So the Reds gone in order. We played 1, and we are scoreless. Bert Hooten. I mean, those are the guys who certainly have very good, if not great, major league career. As Fontenot bounces out to Leake on the first pitch of the inning. The overwhelming majority of those guys, Cowboy, it didn't play out like everybody hoped it would.
And I think for the most part, a lot of this is depending on the individual. A guy like Bert Hooten that came out of college, very similar to Mike Leake, had already grown up a little bit before it was time to put on the big league uni.
Giovanni Soto looks at a strike. Well, no matter what happens the rest of this game, as there's a rocket at Cabrera for the 2nd out, Mike Leake will never be in a more difficult position today or the rest of his career, outside of maybe a more magnified game like a playoff game or a World Series game, than he was in his very first inning in the major leagues. Now take a look at this, Cowboy. Your major league debut. August the 5th, 1988. 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs.
Well, that was a tough ball game, simply because you have all of your family there, everybody screaming. It was the one time in my whole life that I actually could hear my mom scream, "Come on, Jeffrey." I had to step off of the mound. My legs were shaking. I couldn't even breathe. I tried to spit and it stuck right on the edge of my chin. You talking about nervous now.
But you made it through without a run.
I made it through because I had some great defense and some great players behind me.
2-1 to Gorzolani, and there's a fly ball into left field, and Mike Leake makes it right quick of the Cubs' latter third here in the second. 1-2-3. Reds come to bat. Still no score. Right center during our game today, Doris Whitman, or Whittam, I beg your pardon, of Guilford, Indiana, will win this beautiful new Toyota Tundra displayed here at Great American Ballpark. You can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. That's in York Township, Dearborn County in Indiana. Is Guilford, Indiana. Has the last remaining covered bridge in Dearborn County. How about that? Going all the way back to 1897. So if anybody ever mentions Guilford, Indiana, you'll know a little something about it. You know what I mean, Cowboy?
I do. All right.
Here's Brandon Phillips. Ground ball in the hole at short. Terrio's got it. Lance throws. Got it. 4 up, 4 down for Tom Gorzolani. Make sure to get your 2010 Reds team calendar Friday, April the 23rd, presented by Kroger. This year's calendar features current Reds players like Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, and all. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Scott Rowland looks at ball 1 low. Of course, the other big story in the Reds organization takes place just up the road in Toledo, Ohio, in about a half hour from now, where left-hander Aroldis Chapman signed to that free agent contract after defecting from Cuba during the offseason, makes his season debut for Class AAA Louisville. That game will begin at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and we will certainly keep you up to speed on that American baseball debut for Aroldis Chapman. We saw him in spring training a number of times, Cowboy, and there is so much to be excited about with Aroldis Chapman. When you think about Chapman, Edinson Volquez coming back, good Lord willing, from that Tommy John surgery, Mike Leake, Johnny Cueto, Homer Bailey.
Well, just this whole day with Leake in the big leagues and Chapman making his American debut in AAA is a huge event for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, that is a monster credit to this organization, what they've been able to do here in just a short period of time. Amazing. Talk about the scouts, you talk about the GM, there's Walt Jocketty there. This doesn't happen by mistake, folks. You got to do your background checks, you got to study, and you got to have a little bit of faith in the player that you're putting out on the field.
It's like Walt was counting that cash. That might be headed towards Aroldis Chapman. Breaking ball to Ramon Hernandez inside after the walk to Scott Rowland. The Reds have their first base runner against Tom Gorzolani. Ramon, 3 hits and 8 at bats, and of his 3 hits, 2 of them have been doubles. Tardy on a fastball up and away, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Ramon Hernandez.
It's very difficult for the hitters the first time around to pick up the fastball at the plate of Gorzolani. He's not overpowering, but he throws across his body. He steps towards almost the first base dugout and then throws across his body, and it's basically the angle of throwing the ball from the second baseman to the catcher. And that angle makes the ball seem as though it's not to the plate yet, when in actuality it really is.
2 balls and 1 strike on Ramon Hernandez, rolling a very short lead over at first, and he'll draw a throw that was nearly on its way to the stands. Derek Lee having to come across the body of Rolen there to snatch that one away. Two and two.
That's the changeup we were talking about earlier. When he throws the fastball in and then comes back and can locate that pitch there, it is an awfully tough pitch to stay on, especially when you're having to speed up your bat to catch up with that fastball that he's cutting inside.
Two and two the count on Ramon Hernandez. Hit down the right field line towards the corner and out of play. He had more than enough on that to sneak that one beyond the wall, and it stayed about 8 feet left. Be a good game for the Reds to come away with a win. I mean, every game is, but when you consider the fact that you're starting the year, yes, you're starting at home, but you're starting a season against 2 division rivals that finished in first and second in your division last year. Cardinals, the division champions. The Cubs finished 7.5 behind them. And during the course of the first 6 games of the season, you saw Chris Carpenter as Hernandez has gone on strikes. You saw Adam Wainwright, and you saw Carlos Zambrano. So you're talking about last year 2 of the top 3 pitchers in the league. Over about the last 7-8 years, you're talking about 3 of the top 7, 8, 10 pitchers in the league.
Right.
And to get out with a 3-3 record is a good start if you can get the win today.
Well, especially the fact if the Reds win today, they will in effect have taken 2 of 3 from the Cubs. And after the way the Cubs pounded on the Reds last year, I think it was 5 out of 15 games the Reds won. That's a tough go right there.
Ball 1 to Johnny Gomes. 2 hits and 11 at bats, a home run. That was a game winner in the finale against St. Louis on Thursday afternoon in the 9th inning. For foul. On the ground to Fontenot, and that'll do it in the Reds' second inning. They leave a man. We head for the third. Still a scoreless game. Nor I have ever had a player that didn't have any pro experience, but he's special. His pitch selection, control, and command are far beyond his years. And indeed, we saw that front and center in the very first inning of his professional career. After a leadoff walk, if you weren't with us, to this man, Ryan Theriot, then a double by Fukudome. There's a little flare off the end of the bat that'll fall in for a hit. And then with runners at second and third and nobody out, Leake walked Derek Lee on 4 pitches, loading the bases with none out. He got a Ramos Ramirez on a pop-up to Brandon Phillips, struck out Marlon Byrd, and ended the inning retiring Alfonso Soriano on a fly ball to short right. So after a perfect second inning, Theriot aboard for the second time. And here's Fukudome, doubled to the right center field gap. And this one wide into left field, a base hit. So here come the Cubs again with the top of the order. 2 on, none out for Lee.
Fastball starts in the middle of the plate and tries to run it away from Fukudome, but you can see where the location of that pitch is. It's up in the strike zone, and that's not where we saw Mike Leake when he's at his best. He is down around the kneecaps, and that's where he needs to stay.
Breaking ball there, strike one to Lee. Fastball that ran up and in on Lee and tied him up there. 0-2.
When you talk about location and command, this pitch here, you can't put it in a better spot. And it wasn't a four-seam fastball. He ran it there, teased him with it out over the plate. As he begun the swing, it started to run up above his hands.
Struck him out.
Change up. Money. Lee got to see the full metal jacket here. A changeup starts off the plate and it comes back. And even a great hitter like Derek Lee, he's out in front. He sees it as a fastball and the bottom just drops out of it. See how he's got the okay grip right there. That is what we're talking about. That little grip there. The okay grip where you're using the middle finger and the finger that's next to your pinky finger, and you just turn it right over. It takes a little velocity off with the grip itself.
Oh, and 1 to Aramis Ramirez, who popped up to Phillips with the bases loaded, nobody out in that first inning. Fastball sails up and away. A ball and a strike on Ramirez. Ontario out at second base. Kosuke Fukudome, the runner at first. That tied him up. That was a similar pitch on a strike two pitch that we saw a moment ago to Derek Lee.
Well, what's happening is this ball is starting in the heart of the plate and then is just running straight up and in. For a hitter, you see it out over the plate. You start your swing, and then by the time the bat head gets there, the ball has already eaten you up.
One and two on Ramirez with 2 on and only 1 out. Lee could check of the runners and delivers. Wow, didn't get the call from Kerwin Danley, the home plate umpire. Mercy, mercy. Now the 2-2. Strike 3 called, and Ramirez didn't like that.
That ball was right down Broadway. I don't know what he's arguing about. You couldn't put that in a better spot. That was on a tee. I mean, look where the pitch is. That's in the heart of the plate, belt high. The only thing that Aramis Ramirez has to argue about is why he didn't swing.
So after 2 on and nobody out, back-to-back strikeouts for Leake against Derek Lee and Aramis Ramirez, and one more very important out to go. Here's Marlon Byrd, who struck out his first time up. Breaking ball away. Slow roller to third, rolling, charges, throws, got it, and again Leake wiggles off the hook. Bases loaded, nobody out in the first, no runs. First 2 on, nobody out in the third, no runs for the Cubbies. During the game today for a live chat with Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. Now in his 38th year covering Reds baseball. And we are thrilled to have him at Fox Sports Ohio. Chris Dickerson, Mike Leake, and then Drew Stubbs against left-hander Tom Gorzelani. The Reds still in search of their first hit. They've had one base runner. That was a walk to Scott Rowland with one out in the second inning. Off the end of the bat in his short left field. And Soriano, that little bunny hop that he does for whatever reason, able to hold it in. The Honda standings, we turn back the clock to last year. The Reds played exceptional baseball inside the division. But outside the division is where the Reds really struggled. 18 games under 500, and really the difference between the champion Cardinals and the second place finishing Cubs was how they played, or in the Cubs case, did not play outside their own division.
Well, the Reds have definitely got to improve on their West Coast swing. When they head out to California, they're going to have to play a lot better brand of baseball than what they did really in the last 7 or 8 years, for that matter.
Lou's got some kind of little game working over there. You'll have to pass the time down in the dugout, don't you, Cowboy?
You got to do something.
You know, that was the one thing that, you know, Dusty Baker and Walt Jocketty noticed right from the start about Mike Leake. It's interesting we bring up that point because, you know, a lot of guys in spring training, they'll get their work in, and on days when they're not playing or they're not pitching, you know, they might take off a little bit early. And the thing about Leake is he would stay the entire game, every game, and he has his first major league hit in his first major league at bat. Well, congratulations, young man.
We've talked about this from the time that we saw this kid throw the baseball in the first game in spring training. Let's don't make any mistake. This kid's the real deal, and we're not overreacting or trying to make him out to be something that he's not, and that it's not a precursor of how well he's going to do in the big leagues. But for right now, at this moment in time, this kid is the real deal.
Bruce Stubbs is swinging a miss on a slow breaking ball, but, you know, just to finish that thought, Leake every single day would be in that dugout. He would be picking the brain of Reds coaches, so many of the former great Reds players that were spending a lot of time in Arizona and working with the young players and some of the major leaguers. Eric Davis, in fact, is the one who said, I couldn't keep this kid away from me, and meant it in a positive way. Said, you know, we'd be watching the game and Leake would be saying, okay, Eric, if you're at the plate right now, you know, what are you thinking about what the pitcher might do? Every single day. And meanwhile, Stubbs strikes out again. That is the 8th time already the early part of this year that Drew Stubbs has struck out. We're talking about 8 strikeouts and 18 at-bats. And that was a knock on Stubbs in his entire minor league career. And with all the good things that he did do once he came up to the big leagues, the last month and a half last season, he did strike out a lot.
Well, I think one of the reasons that Mike Leake was asking so many questions and wanting to know so many things about what goes on in the big leagues is he wanted to see if it was the same kind of game of baseball that he'd been playing his whole life.
Ground ball down to third, and Leake has the only Reds hit through the first 3 innings against Tom Gorzelani. Still a scoreless affair at Great American Ballpark. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra at Great American Ballpark. By JTM Food, Family Fun, JTM. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Now, professional grade at the big league level is a story today from Mike Leake. For those of you not with us, a 21st player since the advent of the Major League Draft to make his professional debut in the big leagues. In our AT&T trivia question, who were the last two players to make their debuts at the big league level without a game in the minors? If you were with us earlier, we told you who the other one was, but if you weren't with us, we'll give you a clue. Remarkably, really, when you think about it, he is here in uniform today. I mean, when you consider that you turn back the clock even further to 1995, Mike Leake and this other player are the only two that have done it. And 2 on Alfonso Soriano, who made the final out, leaving the bases loaded in the first inning on a pop-up to Chris Dickerson in short right center field. It's already 4 strikeouts in the game for Mike Leake.
This kid really has a knack for pitching. Not throwing, but pitching. He threw Soriano a fastball in at 84, just a little sinker, went back away at 88, then went back away again at 91, and then dropped that thing on him to send him back to the dugout. Nice.
Mike Fontenot get a comebacker to Leake on the very first pitch, leading off the second inning. He looks at strike one here. The Reds will leave after the game today and fly to South Florida to begin their first road trip of the year. 7 games in 7 days, beginning with the first of 4 tomorrow night against the Florida Marlins, and then 3 next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Pittsburgh to wrap up the trip. Breaking ball, and Leake doesn't get the call. I don't know how in the world you don't get that call. Maybe that's why. Shallow center field, caught by Stubbs, 2 away.
The thing about pitching here in the big leagues, especially with this Reds defense and the speed that they possess in the outfield and the gold gloves that they have in the infield, Mike Leake's never pitched with this kind of defense before. Now, I understand that his club was pretty good at Arizona State. They went to the College World Series, but let's face it, these are big league defensive players, and they can go get it.
Ball 1 away to Giovanni Soto, who hit the ball very hard right at Orlando Cabrera. His only time up.
The Leake is doing exactly what he's supposed to. When he thinks the pitch is a strike, he just gets the ball back, goes back to work. There's really not a whole lot that you could do as a rookie on the mound and not getting a call that you think you should get behind home plate. You just get it and go.
4-pitch walk to Soto. 3rd walk of the game by Leake. And that'll bring the pitcher Tom Gorzelani to the plate with a runner at first and 2 outs. By the way, on the upcoming trip, we will have every game for you on Fox Sports Ohio. All night games, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And day games Saturday and Sunday. And there's a line drive to Phillips to end the inning. 1 man left. Cubs have stranded 6. Still no score. A game in the minor leagues, and the other we told you is in uniform, wearing a Cub uniform here today. Xavier Nady, when he did it September the 30th in the year 2000 with the San Diego Padres. Interesting to note that Nady, like Leake, came out of college and both played in the Pac-10 conference. Nady played at the University of California, played for 3 years like Leake, and 3 times an all Pac-10 selection, a 2-time All-American. After growing up in Salinas, California. No score. We begin the bottom of the 4th inning. The Reds have 1 hit, 2 base runners against Tom Gorzolani. The 1 hit belongs to Mike Leake. He had a 1-out single into center field. That was back in the 3rd inning. Joey Votto, meanwhile, struck out his first time up. Votto to be followed by Brandon Phillips and then Scott Rowland.
It almost looks as though when Gorzolani lets go of the baseball that he is throwing from behind the back of Joey Votto and some of these other left-handed hitters and bringing it across their body. And the angle he's creating is a tough angle to hit from. Votto continues to foul things off, but when you watch the ball, it almost looks like the ball is coming from this side and coming across here. And then when he throws the breaking ball, it's starting back in this area and then breaking across the plate. It's so difficult for any left-handed batter to get to that baseball and at least make some semblance of contact out in front of home plate. Even the right-handed batters are hitting the ball late as it approaches the plate.
Like that one right there.
It's tough to pick up. I mean, that's how Gorzolani threw the baseball when he first came to the big leagues. He's hiding the ball for a long time, and that shot right there shows you how long that ball stays behind him. It looks like it's coming out of the hip of Votto.
That is a fair ball. And Joey Votto, who had a bullseye view on it, thought that was a foul ball. So did Billy Hatcher, the Reds' first base umpire. Dusty Baker will come racing out of the dugout to have a few words with the umpire at first, C.B. Buckner.
The ball was fair until it got to the bag, Tom, and the ball looked like it took a bounce right just before it got to the bag. We see the ball going down the line. That ball looked like it had bounced foul. We don't have the exact line there, but it may have gone just slightly over the bag. If it did, it was like throwing a pitch just on the outside corner with the inside of the baseball.
Well, now Brandon Phillips, who grounded out to Ryan Theriot, his only time up with 1 out and nobody on. Well, the Reds just can't get anything going offensively here. Really, going back to the Brandon Phillips home run in the 3rd inning yesterday off Carlos Zambrano, which gave them a 3-0 lead at the time. The final 5 innings of the game yesterday, the Reds had 1 hit, a 1-out single in the 8th inning by Joey Votto, and here's a routine ground ball to Theriot, and they're 2 away. If there was, like there is with any team, you look up and down your club on what you have and certainly things you consider to be your strengths. Other areas where there are question marks. With this Reds team, it's pretty safe to say everybody was very excited about the starting rotation. That ball is dumped into left center field, a base hit by Rowland, so he has a walk and a hit. More than legitimate reasons to be excited about the bullpen, a group which was brought back entirely intact from the end of last year, which had the 3rd best ERA among all bullpens in baseball. But a legitimate question based on the numbers, and the numbers don't lie, was would the Reds be able to score? Because they had a very hard time last year scoring runs in virtually every offensive category that means anything. They were in the bottom 3rd in the league in all of those categories.
Well, I'm of the opinion that with the talent on this ball club that they have swinging the bats, this club should hit and they should score runs. I don't know what it is and what keeps them from getting it done.
Now, guys like Chris Carpenter, Adam Wainwright, Carlos Zambrano,
well, that's one.
They're going to make a lot of teams look bad offensively.
But playing in this ballpark and having the names that you have out there and the history behind the guys that are on this big league club, this team should not have an issue hitting the baseball.
Oh, and 2 on Ramon Hernandez with rolling at first and 2 away. There goes a runner, and they have Roland caught. Throw down to second. He's out by 10 feet. So 1 hit, nobody left. We go to the 5th, where the Reds and Cubs remain scoreless. Peek at the weather forecast. I mean, we're looking at another solid week, and of course it can change. We know that. But apparently the weather for the next 4 or 5 days in a row more the same.
Well, this is what you like to have starting the season. There have been so many seasons where you start it and it's freezing everywhere you go, or raining.
Top of the order for the Cubs. And these first 2 batters are perfect against Mike Leake. Terrio has walked and singled. Fukudome has doubled and singled. Here's ball 1 to Ryan Terrio. A couple of other games already underway. The Dodgers out in front of the Marlins 4-0 in the 4th. And Washington a 5-0 lead over the Mets in the 3rd. 2-0 to Terrio. And the Houston Astros trying to end a season opening 6-game homestand, looking for a win. 0-5 are the Astros. Lost 3 to the Giants and have lost back-to-back games to the Philadelphia Phillies. Three and 1 to Terrio. Boy, that is a rough way. It's not to say you can't recover, but man, that is a tough way to start a year.
Well, especially starting without Lance Berkman, and not a whole lot of fun going on down in Houston right now.
And Leake very upset with himself. That's 4 walks in the game by Leake. And we mentioned during all of his outings combined in Arizona, now it is spring training. This is the big leagues. But in 18 innings pitched in Arizona, Leake walked a total of 4 batters.
Well, it's going to take him some time to get used to the different umpires. Every umpire has a different type of strike zone. Even though the strike zone is supposed to be the same, trust me, it's individualized.
Slow breaking ball swung on and missed by Fukudome, who doubled to right center field in the 1st inning and singled into left in the 3rd. All 3 Chicago hits have come from the top 2 batters in their lineup. Running out in front of the plate. Hernandez will throw to first, and they'll give Fukudome a sacrifice, advancing Terrio into scoring position.
See Roland playing as far back as he was. I thought that Fukudome was trying to push the ball that way, more so for a base hit than for a sacrifice. But when you do move the runner up, regardless of what you're trying to do, they'll give you a sacrifice anyway.
That gentleman you just saw a moment ago is not just some, somewhat interested spectator in the game. That's Mike Leake's dad, Chris Leake.
You notice that the dads always sit by themselves. Don't sit by me. And if you're going to talk to me, let me talk. Don't talk back. He won't be still either. He'll be
moving around like a chainsaw on Red Bull over there. I mean,
the whole time.
There's a liner into center field, a base hit, and this will perhaps bring in the first run against Mike Leake. It will. So for a third time in the game, Theriot starts an inning by reaching base. They bunt into second, and Derek Lee makes it 1-0 Chicago with a single in the center field.
Looked like a fastball down that ran back to the corner. Started him with a breaking ball. This ball stays on the plate and just had a little bit of sink to it, and Derek Lee stays right on it. That's a pitch he can handle out there.
Now Ramos Ramirez, who's popped up to second base and struck out. He looks at ball one. Starting to bring up a moment ago about how until that base hit by Lee, both Theriot and Fukudome are perfect on the day. And you got to remember, this is the third time the Cub leadoff man has led off an inning against Mike Leake. And generally, when those guys are 5 for 5, that's a recipe for a lot of runs. Leake was able to get out of the bases loaded, nobody out, jam in the first. 2 on, nobody out in the third. But after the walk to Theriot to begin the fifth, this time he's burned. Ramirez, another Cub who will swing 3-0. Not this time. We brought it up on Friday night. Both Lee and Ramirez, who have been around a long time and had a lot of success, like swinging the bat. 3 balls and no strikes. Fly ball right field. Dickerson near the line. 2 away, and Lee stays put.
Good job there by Mike Leake to come back from 3-0. 3-0 fastball was up and in the middle of the plate. That pitch was down and at the corner. You notice he doesn't really throw the same pitch 2 times in a row. It's either a sinker, 2-seamer, 4-seamer, curveball, slider, or, as we saw earlier to some of the left-handers, he'll give him the changeup.
Now Marlon Byrd 0 for 2 is struck out swinging and grounded out to third. There's Mike Leake's brother Ryan Leake. I would imagine the entire family still lives out in California. That's where he was born and raised.
Why is it that we crank on our fingernails when things are going a little stressful? Maybe it's because we can't reach our toes.
That might be about right. Grounded down to Roland. He'll go the short way to end the inning. Leadoff walk, a bunt, and a hit. Gives Chicago a 1-0 lead over Mike Leake and the Reds as we head for the bottom of the fifth. Reds at the time a 3-0 lead. A lead, of course, they would relinquish by the time we played 5, and then the Cubs won it on a pinch hit home run by Jeff Baker against Arthur Rhodes in the 8th inning. So let's see if the Reds can start to get something, anything going offensively. Ramon Hernandez to be followed by Johnny Gomes and Chris Dickerson. The Reds have 2 hits, one by Mike Leake and the other by Scott Rowland.
Now, granted, anything can happen on any given day, but let's face it, Gorzelani 7-3 last year with a 5.55 earned run average. came up with the Cubs, and they just cut him loose. He was pitching AAA ball for these Cubs before September of last year.
Bouncing ball, Terrio, the pirouette, and a good firm throw.
All right, Reds fans, have some fun in the kitchen with family and friends this summer using JTM beef and chicken Philly kits or their beef hoagie kits. JTM, food, family, and fun.
One out for Johnny Gomes. He bounced out sharply to the second baseman. Fontenot is only at bat. Well, this Cubs starting rotation during this weekend series, they have just completely dominated the Reds offense. Carlos Silva left the game after 6 innings on Friday night, allowed 3 hits and 1 run, did not walk a batter. Zambrano got off to the shaky start, allowing 3 runs and 5 hits in the first 3 innings. But over his final 4 innings, he shut him out on 1 hit, striking out 9. And here's Gorzolani working 1 out into the 5th. Has not allowed a run. He's allowed 2 singles, walked 1 batter, and fanned 4. Word in from Louisville, just underway. Aroldis Chapman making his debut. And in his very first inning on the mound, retired the side 1-2-3, striking out 2 of the 3 batters he faced. And Louisville, by the way, 1-0 lead on a Chris Heisey home run. We'll keep you up to date throughout the afternoon. What a huge day for this organization to have Aroldis Chapman at AAA and Mike Leake starting for the big league club.
How about Heisey going deep on the first day when everything's going on? Reds minor league player of the year last year, Chris Heisey. Got a chance to see him a little bit in spring training. We'll see him here shortly, I would imagine.
Two and two on Johnny Gomes. 5th strikeout of the day by Gorzolani.
Change up, you can see it in the grip there as he takes this ball and starts to rip it down in the strike zone.
Reds batters yesterday against a trio of Zambrano, Graybo, and Marmol struck out 13 times. That's 5 of them today for Gorzolani. And there's a weak pop up in a shallow left field, and it's another 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 6th. Cubs lead the Reds 1-0.
Alfonso Soriano trailing 1-0, and I am proud to be joined by Mike Leake's mother, Sarah. How proud are you right now?
Pretty excited and pretty proud. This is something that you dream about in Little League, and you just tell them work hard, and you just never know you just can't believe it would ever happen to your son, your son and your family and all that.
Ground ball to third base, Roland retires Soriano. Did you expect him to be in the big leagues this soon?
No, not this soon. And he has surprised us this many years, but, obviously he knows what to do, and we just don't doubt him anymore. So,
did you notice when he was growing up and coming through the ranks, they call it moxie, that he has that extra mental ability, let's say, to be at this spot? Did you notice it early on that he was special?
I think maybe some of his coaches were really good about helping him out, and maybe noticed. I believe maybe he did. I wasn't the coach and stuff, but I just know he was a great kid and really a nice son to have.
Dickerson went towards the right field line to getting the second out of the inning for Mike Leake. All right, you guys got a bunch of family here. Who do you got here? You got grandma, grandpa, brothers here?
Brother, sister, my nieces, Michael's girlfriend's here, and my sister from Seattle, and some of her friends came up from Louisville and from Columbus. And yeah, it's a great time. We just all enjoyed this ride.
Well, Mom, you brought son some good luck. Can you bring the hitters some good luck? We need some runs.
We want some runs, yes, so we can relax a little bit more here. So, yeah.
It's tense down here, Tom and Cowboy, but boy, there's a proud bunch of family members down here.
Well, you're not lying. You know, we were talking to Bob Brenly, who, of course, was a teammate of yours, Jeff, a coach of yours, in fact, with the San Francisco Giants, and won a World Series as a manager with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And was my broadcast partner for a number of years. And just before the season started, Bob, who's in the booth next door broadcasting the Cubs games, has a son that is a very highly touted prospect as a catcher in the Cubs organization. And Bob Brenly was telling the story, the two final exhibition games leading up to the start of the regular season. Michael Brenly had a chance to catch. The exhibitions were played against the Arizona Diamondbacks in their major league park at Chase Field. And Bob had a chance to broadcast those games on television. And, you know, for a fellow that I've known and just love for so many, many years, the look in his eye as he's telling the story about what that was like sitting up in the booth to announce the game.
Ain't nothing like it.
And it puts it in perspective. I mean, really close to home to hear somebody like that relaying the story and then trying to imagine what it's like for Sarah and Chris Leake, the parents of Mike Leake, sitting there and watching this game today.
Well, I think we now understand where Mike Leake got all that poise and that calm, cool collectiveness, and it's from that lady right there. That was a pretty good interview with her boy on the mound.
Well, I don't know how in the world that two of those pitches and that at bat missed, but they did, and it's 5 walks now in the game for Leake.
Well, what you do have to understand is, as a rookie pitcher, you are not going to get the same calls as a veteran on the mound. Now, the umpires and the supervisors and all of those folks are going to tell you, oh, yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. The strike zone is the same for everybody. Well, let me tell you, it's not.
So Leake has walked 5. He's allowed a run on 4 base hits. He has struck out 4. He's trying to retire Gorzolani in what could be Leake's final inning of work. That ball's hit pretty well. Stubbs racing back to the track, and that'll end the inning. Okay, Gorzolani swinging back now.
He can hit now.
6 innings of 1-run baseball for Mike Leake. He's due to lead off when we come back. Chris Dickerson a moment ago sprinting towards the line, making the grab and sliding to protect himself up against the wall. Nice play by Dickerson, applauded by Mike Leake. And that was a Coors Light freeze can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Looked like he was sliding right down into the banks of the river.
Well, it appears as though Mike Leake is going to bat to begin the bottom half of the 6th inning.
Well, he has been swinging the bat well today. He's 1 for 1. He's only got 83 pitches, folks. That's why he's hit. Other than the fact that he's put the Cubs in check for 6+.
Well, Gorzolani has made it look extremely easy today. I mean, by far the hardest hit ball was the base hit by Leake. The single by Rowland, which is the other hit the Reds have in the game today, was a little flare off the end of the bat into shallow left center field. I mean, not even the outs have been hit with any kind of authority. Bunted foul. 0-2 on Mike Leake.
I'm telling you, Tom, this kid is just a baseball player. He's got great instincts. You look up as a Most pitchers are not even worried about what they're going to do with the bat when they're at home plate. He's looking at Derek Lee and seeing how far he is back, knowing that Gorzelani falls off to the third base side, so he tries to bunt the ball that way.
How about this? Leake a perfect 2 for 2, just shoots it the other way. Wow. This is so impressive. So impressive.
Check out his mom. High five. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a big day at the yard for that family.
Boy, is it ever. Now Drew Stubbs. And he bunts it. Gorzelani going to go to second base, and they get the out. Well, I'm having a hard time understanding that. You?
Well, what he's trying to do there is sacrifice to move the runner into scoring position and try to get some kind of pressure on Gorzelani with the top of the order coming up. But Stubbs bunts the ball right back to the pitcher. That ball's got to be down one of the lines.
Leake, the first Reds pitcher since Aaron Harang in May of last year to have 2 or more hits in a game. And now Stubbs, who's 0 for 3, runs very well, but Gorzelani has a left-handed. Just to start with, that'll keep you a little bit closer and has a pretty decent move. Holds that ball a long time, and there goes Stubbs. Throw down to second, not going to be in time, and Stubbs has a stolen base. Told you Stubbs led the league in AAA last year in stolen bases with 46.
The key there for that stolen base was reading the pitcher. Look at the break he gets there. As the knee comes up, he's gone. The throw is not even anywhere near second base in time.
So the tying run stands there at second base with 1 out for Orlando Cabrera. Tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised, and obviously if you're going to do it, you better know you can make it. But Stubbs looks like he has an idea about taking third. Orlando Cabrera is flied out to right and grounded out to third. The tying run is Stubbs out at second base with 1 out. They're trying to keep Stubbs as close as they can. Fogno is really cheating over by the back. Derek Lee's playing about, what, 20 feet off the first base line to try and take away some of that hole on the right side. That's where Cabrera likes to hit it. There goes Stubbs. Pitch taken. Throw to third, not going to get him. You could see it from the very first pitch in the at-bat.
When you're in the dugout and you've got Chris Spire or the hitting coach, Brooke Jacoby, timing Gorzelani as he comes to home plate, you already have a pretty good idea about what his time is to the plate. And if he's slow and you're fast, you're running.
See if the Reds can get in at least a tying run. That pitch up and away. 3 balls and a strike now to Cabrera.
The Reds must get this run in here.
Cabrera has 4 RBIs, tied for second most on the team with Brandon Phillips, 1 behind Drew Stubbs. 3-1. Pulled the string on him, 3-2. Cabrera going to take a long walk out of that batter's box.
This is really where Cabrera excels the most. It's in clutch situations with something on the line. That's when his concentration is the best. Let's see if he can get it here.
Didn't happen.
Drop that slider down and in, right on the back foot. Gorzelani, that's about as good a pitch as you can make with that pitch, and evidently it was the right pitch at the right time because Cabrera swings right over the top of it.
So now Giovanni Soto going to go out and have a visit with Gorzelani. The Reds have a tying run at third base with now 2 away in the inning, and here comes Joey Votto. Been a very quiet series for Votto. Was 1 for 3 here yesterday, 0 for 4 in the opener, and he's hitless in 2 at bats so far today. Strike 1.
That's the one thing that Gorzelani has done from inning number 1, batter number 1, and that's throwing the first pitch strike. You get ahead of the hitters, makes your job a whole lot easier.
Inning over. Well, pretty much the entire Reds offense today has also been their pitcher, Mike Leake. He has 2 hits, but still trails 1-0.
With you, it's time for our Meyer text poll question of the day. Of course, the final round of the Masters today. And we would like to know, what would you rather accomplish as Leake throws the first pitch a strike? What would you rather accomplish? 1, win the Masters, or 2, be the MVP of the World Series? Text your votes to 37664. Standard text message rates apply. And I don't know, let's put it over to the booth, guys. What would be your choice?
I think I would rather win the Masters right now, because my golf game is really looking pretty good. My arm hurts. So how do you like me now?
See some of the early results overwhelmingly in favor of the World Series most valuable player.
If I was 25, I'd take 2.
Ryan Theriot has not been retired in the game today by Mike Leake. He's walked twice, has a single, and has scored the only run of the game. Breaking ball, a strike 3 call this time. That's 5 of them in the game for Mr. Leake.
Well, he had him set up from the beginning for this pitch right there, a breaking ball. Threw him a breaking ball for a strike to start with, and a changeup he tried to bunt away. 2 fastballs, he runs up and in, and then he puts him away with a breaking ball for a strike.
This has just been an amazing professional debut for Mike Leake. I mean, here he is pitching into the 7th inning of this game. The only Red starter, well, actually, after yesterday, Aaron Harang joined Bronson Arroyo, of going at least 7 innings the early part of this 2010 season. But again, in Leake's case, we're not talking about a veteran like Harang or like Arroyo that have been around 8, 10, 12 years. Before today, Mike Leake had never thrown a pitch as a professional. Not in single A, not in double A, not in triple A. Reds' #1 pick, the 8th overall in last year's June draft. Did pitch during the Arizona Fall League. as he slips behind Fukudome 3-1. It was so impressive there. But went to spring training, went about his business and earned the spot in the rotation. And today his professional debut. He's allowed 1 run, 4 hits, fanned 5, surprisingly walked 5.
And I don't know that the walks will be that kind of total as he moves on. I think once it gets around that people know that he's going to be around the strike zone, he's going to get more of the calls than what we've seen him get today. Every borderline call today has gone against him.
3-2 to Fukudome. And a bouncing ball to Votto. The underhand leaked, and that's out number 2 with 1 more to go. And this will be unquestionably Leake's final inning of work. You're not going to ask this young man to go out and throw 110, 115 pitches in a game.
He's tired right now. You can see it on a couple of pitches to Fukudome, but he's just gutting it out because this kid has the ability to do that.
Well, Logan Ondrusek just got off the bench in the bullpen to begin to loosen up. I mean, that's only about his 2nd or 3rd pitch. Derek Lee knocked in the game's only run with a single to center field in the 5th inning. There's another one of those borderline calls that hasn't gone Leake's way all day long from home plate umpire Kerwin Danley.
And the thing that I like about Mike Leake is he is not going to give in. He's going to continue to try to make the pitches. He's not going to hit that hard of that plate, regardless of whether Kerwin Danley calls them balls or not. He's going to try to hit the pitch that he knows he can make. Right there.
100th pitch of the day. Swung on and fouled back out of play. Down and away on every pitch in this at bat to Derek Lee, and here comes the payoff pitch from Mike Leake. Shakes off Hernandez twice, and now going to work. Left that one a little more on the inner half, and Lee fouls it off.
It was a hanging breaking ball right there. And as I said when he was facing Fukudome, you can see that hand and forearm is starting to get a little bit fatigued, not quite finishing every pitch now.
Ball 4. 6 walks. Now for Leake, who walked a total of 4 all spring. Let's bring you up to date on Aroldis Chapman, who makes his debut in Toledo, Ohio. 2 innings, 3 hits allowed. His fan 3 has not walked a batter.
And I believe 2 of those 3 hits were broken bat hits that just got over the infield.
Well, you got to hope enough that Leake has enough left here to get 1 more out, because all of a sudden this can go from a spectacular major league debut to one that just leaves a bad taste in your mouth with 1 crack of the bat. He's already now over 100 pitches in the game. He didn't come anywhere close to that in spring training.
Well, and I think too with Leake, if he doesn't get a call like he did facing Lee, he's not going to give in. He's not going to just lay one up there for you in the middle of the plate and let you hit it out of the ballpark. He's going to continue to make pitches, and if he has to, he'll face Bird with runners at first and second base. That one's all the way to the screen. They're going to have to come get him. He's tired. He's been tired. I noticed it when he was facing Fukudome. It was a couple of pitches he just didn't finish, and that means you're running out of gas.
You know, when it got down to be a two-man race for that number 5 spot in the rotation with Leake and Wood, the two were pitching in the same game every turn in the rotation. Leake would start one game, Wood would start the other. There's ball 4, and you got to believe Dusty will come get it. And here he comes. The only chink in the armor, the 7 walks, 2 of them coming here in the 7th inning. Still no sign made by Dusty Baker that Leake is coming out of this game, and now the sign is given. Well, congratulations, Mike Leake.
I thought he pitched a heck of a ball game.
And this crowd in Cincinnati will stand and cheer the 22-year-old Californian. Major League debut, 6 2/3, only 4 hits allowed and 1 run. Our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen brings on Andrusik. Really a derby which began with about 7 or 8 guys in the mix. It came down to Leake, the young right-hander, Wood, the young left-hander. And Leake was better, and primarily better because of his control.
Well, the number that you don't see on here is the 11 or 12 walks that Travis Wood had. And it wasn't that he was particularly wild. He was able to recover when he did walk a batter. And he did strike out more batters than Mike Leake did. But the one thing that we all do know is sooner or later, the Red staff will have Mike Leake and Travis Wood.
All right, now big out for Logan Andrusik as he comes on to face Marlon Byrd with 2 on and 2 out in a 1-0 game. Of course, Andrusik was brought in against the St. Louis Cardinals, and I mean, he was brought right into the fire. Brendan Ryan was the first batter he faced. The next batter he faced was Albert Pujols.
Well, Andrusik has got to get back to throwing the ball over the plate and challenging the hitter. Good pitch right there.
In the very first game of the year, Andrusik made his major league debut and had a 1-2-3 inning. 2 days later, the second game of the year, he did not retire a batter. Walked 1, allowed 2 hits, and eventually was charged with 3 earned runs. Andrusik so good in spring training after making a meteoric rise through the Reds farm system last year.
Well, Andrusik has plenty of physical ability to pitch here in the big leagues. We've seen that in spring training. We saw it in day 1. The bottom line, you have to trust your stuff, and you can't nitpick. You got to throw the ball over the plate and make them swing.
Broken bat, fly ball into short left field. Gomes has it. Good work by Andrusik. So the final line on Leake, 6 2/3 innings, allows 4 hits and 1 run. He cannot win it, and the Reds are going to try and do all they can to make sure he doesn't lose it. We're going to keep it right here on this Sunday afternoon, as we do every weekend at Great American Ballpark, with a playing of God Bless America. Census, it's not too late. Fill out and mail back your census form today. Get pumped for Reds baseball this summer. Visit any Greater Cincinnati, Dayton, or Columbus United Dairy Farmers location and receive a half-price discount on Reds tickets with your purchase of a minimum of 8 gallons of gas. Offer good for up to 6 tickets to select games in April and May. Visit Reds.com/UDF for details. A 1-0 game as the Reds come to bat trailing in the bottom of the 7th inning. Brandon Phillips, Scott Rowland, and Ramon Hernandez against Tom Gorzolani, who's allowed 3 singles, 2 of them to departed starting pitcher Mike Leake. The only other Reds hit was a single by Scott Rowland back in the 4th inning. The only other base runner was a 1-out walk to Rowland in the 2nd inning. Phillips tardy on a 2-0 fastball at 89 miles an hour. Brandon Phillips twice has grounded out to the shortstop Ryan Theriot. 3 for his first 21 to begin the year. Tardy again. Campbell, you brought up the point earlier in the game. The way Gorzelani throws the ball, perhaps it deceives the batter in terms of the velocity with which he throws.
Well, everything is across his body. He keeps the ball behind him until just about release point. He's got a very quick arm action, which makes the ball look like it shoots out of his shirt sleeve.
That was ball 4. Instead, it's strike 3. 7 strikeouts for Tom Gorzelani.
That ball looks as though it's going to cut towards you, and it stayed straight on the outside part of the plate.
Scott Rowland started. They appeal, and no, he didn't go around. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rowland, who's been on twice. Rowland has been on twice. Leake has been on twice. Both earning their way on. Drew Stubbs bounced out trying to put down a sacrifice bunt, so he reached safely with the lead runner being thrown out at second base. Well, those are the only 3 Reds that have sniffed first all day long against Gorzelani. The only threat offensively in the game came in that 6th inning, with Stubbs at first and 1 out. He stole second, stole third, all during the at-bat to Orlando Cabrera. And Cabrera had a count of 3-1 with Stubbs at third. Gorzelani struck him out. Pulled him on a changeup and then a slider. That ball ripped into left center field by Rowland. But a tying run aboard with 1 out here in the 7th inning.
This is what makes Scott Rowland so good. He has the ability to foul off pitches that he cannot put into play, and then when he does get a pitch that he can hammer, he makes sure that he hammers it.
Now Ramon Hernandez, who was struck out and bounced out to short. Sean Marshall, a left-hander, begins to throw in the Chicago bullpen. Marshall off to a great start this year. Has retired every batter that he's faced.
He was awfully good in spring training as well.
Ismailin Caridad, who gave up the grand slam to Drew Stubbs in the 8th inning in the series opener, warms up alongside Marshall. Breaking ball in there, a strike. Up and away, 2-1 to Hernandez.
And I think if you start to put the pressure on Gorzelani, i.e. get some runners on base or a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs, Gorzelani doesn't throw that same aggressive style of pitching that he's thrown thus far. But the Reds have not had anybody out there.
Well, except for that one at bat to Cabrera, and I mean, you got to give it up to Gorzelani in that at bat. After falling behind 3-1, he threw him a 3-1 change, and Cabrera was so far out in front. And then that pitch you documented, that slider on the strikeout pitch. 2-1 on Ramon Hernandez. Roland's only taking about a step-and-a-half lead over there.
And I think sometimes for different pitchers, instead of shaking off, they'll throw a ball over to first base to try to get the catcher to give him another sign.
Well, Gorzelani has been so impressive here today. Whether it's that slow overhand breaking ball, location with a fastball, he's only walked one batter. That slider he's mixed in from time to time has been very good.
And even when he's left balls in the center of the plate, the Reds have fouled them off. That angle by which he's throwing the baseball has really kept the Reds off balance.
Pitch outside, 3-2. We got to wonder if this will be the final batter one way or the other for Gorzelani. It'll be his 93rd pitch of the afternoon. They have Caridad, the right-hander. They have Marshall, the left-hander, ready in the pen. Roland not going. It's ball 4, and the Reds have 2 on with 1 out in the 7th inning. Lou Piniella walks down from where he sits and now walks up the dugout steps. And let's see what Piniella decides to do here. Yep. So Johnny Gomes to face Gorzelani with 2 on and 1 out. And there's a pitch in the dirt and a real nice play made there by Giovanni Soto.
If you have some patience right now as Johnny Gomes, Gorzelani will give you something in the heart of the plate. He'll fall behind. Pitching with runners in scoring position is not Gorzelani's forte.
Gorzelani off the rubber, right back on it, looking into Soto for the sign. Roland at second, Hernandez at first with 1 out to Johnny Gomes. A 1-0 pitch. 1-1. Gomes 0 for 2, is grounded to second and struck out. He's 2 out of 13 to start this season with 1 RBI. That was a game winner in the 9th inning against St. Louis on Thursday.
That's 3 pitches in the dirt. Well, I'm telling you, he's not going to throw you a strike with a runner out there until he has to. I've watched him pitch in that Pirate uniform too long.
Gorzelani ahead in the count, 1-2. And Gomes barely got a piece. I mean, he's just going to keep flipping up that breaking ball. It's going to end up in the dirt.
Well, why not if the guy's going to swing at it? As a hitter, you've got to transfer that pressure to the pitcher. For right now, for Gorzelani, he knows the pressure's on Gomes.
Gomes adjusting that helmet. Right foot in the box, left foot in the box. Behind in the count, 1-2 with 2 on and 1 out in the 7th inning. And Gorzelani to the plate. In the air, left field. Soriano giving chase and dropped the ball. Roland's going to be held at third base. So the adventures of Alfonso Soriano continue in left field. Boy, if you're a Cub fan, with all due respect, Soriano, who can swing the bat, knowing you have this year and 4 more years left on his contract playing left field, my, oh my.
That's embarrassing.
Well, Lou Piniella this time has to come get Gorzelani. He made his pitch to get the out on Johnny Gomes. That's a ball that has to be caught. But the Reds will take the break, and we'll see if they can capitalize on it when we return. Enables Johnny Gomes to reach first and load the bases for the Reds down 1-0.
As soon as that ball knocks off the glove of Soriano, and I mean, this ball's got to be caught, Tom. I mean, it's right in the webbing. And you see Johnny Gomes, he's screaming, go, 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 go! Man, why didn't they go?
Well, here comes Sean Marshall. He takes over for Gorzolani. Marshall has been perfect this season. He's faced 13 batters, retired them all, and has struck out 7 of the 13. Miguel Cairo sent to the plate to pinch hit for the Reds, batting for Chris Dickerson. Cairo has been used twice as a pinch hitter. He's 0 for 2. Tying run at third, lead run at second. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. They're in on the corners, Lee and Ramirez. And Marshall to the plate. Breaking ball in there, strike, and that is the best pitch in the repertoire of Sean Marshall.
Big, tall lefty. Ball starts a good 2 feet outside and then snap right to the outside corner.
Knocked down. This is going to bring in a run, and everybody's going to be safe. A pinch hit RBI single to tie the game by Miguel Cairo.
Right off the glove of Marshall, and you just couldn't have wished it any better. Infield hit, nobody out, and Reds still have a chance to take the lead. All Bruce has got to do here is get the ball in the outfield.
Well, you have right-handed hitters, Paul Yanish and Ryan Hannigan on your bench, and yet Dusty Baker is going to send up Jay Bruce. Bruce had a real good swing against a lefty out of the bullpen yesterday, Graybo. Bruce hit a rocket right at the first baseman, Derek Lee, who caught it, but Bruce has struggled mightily against left-handed pitching in his very short career. Breaking ball away. The go-ahead run is at third.
Jay's really hit the ball well here in the beginning of the season. The numbers don't show it, but he has made some solid contact. He just hadn't gotten anything for it.
Foul ball out of play. Well, Dusty probably playing a hunch, I would assume, because the numbers don't lie. Jay Bruce against left-handed pitching. But this is the matchup that Dusty Baker is very comfortable with, and let's hope that Jay Bruce can prove him to be right. He does have 1 hit and 1 at bat against Marshall. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2.
Jay has got to be thinking up the middle and left center field gap so he can stay in on that breaking ball. Anything else, trouble.
Right of foul. The Reds have finally broken through here in the 7th inning. Thanks to a single by Roldan with 1 out. A walk to Hernandez. A drop fly ball in left field by Alfonso Soriano to load him up. RBI pinch hit, game tying hit by Miguel Cairo. And a breaking ball that Bruce is able to lay off of, even a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bases are loaded for Bruce. 1 out, 1-1 game. 2 gone in the inning.
Steady diet of breaking balls. And this one he gets Jay again, down and away.
Well, you knew what Dusty Baker was thinking there. That if he sends up the left-hander Bruce, You know, maybe Jay could gain a little confidence at the minimum of just trying to drive in that run.
Man, you hit the nail on the head, Tom.
Well, now Drew Stubbs.
Jay is one of your everyday players. He's going to be out there every day, lefty or righty. If he does get a hit in that situation, you're talking about an elevation of confidence. That's what you got to do with young players. You got to keep pushing.
But the question should be asked, and it will be asked after the game, about that decision. And it is a legitimate question. It's not second guessing. The numbers don't lie, and there's a reason why Bruce wasn't in the starting lineup today to begin with. And that's because the opposition was starting a left-handed pitcher. It is a legitimate question. 0-2 to Stubbs.
You almost wonder if Dusty thought about calling down to the bullpen and bringing Mike Owings into the dugout. Not going to pitch today.
1-2 to Drew Stubbs. And Stubbs is struck out for the third time in the game. Bruce and Stubbs strike out, leaving him loaded, but the Reds come back to tie. Red starter Mike Leake, the 22-year-old California native, 6 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, had 2 hits in the game. He did walk 7. But what a performance today by Mike Leake. He can't win it, nor now can he lose it.
Well, he didn't let anything bother him from the beginning of the game until it was time for him to take a seat in the dugout. And even though he walked 7 batters, the thing that I admired most about Leake's performance is he didn't let the umpire, Kerwin Danley, get to him. When he made a pitch that he thought was a strike, he didn't go behind the mound and kick dirt or show any type of frustration at all. He continued to try to make the pitches that he knew he needed to make and didn't give in to the batter.
Jay Bruce remains in the game to play right field and now taking over on the mound. Third pitcher used today by the Reds is right-hander Nick Massett. Massett coming off a sensational year in 2009. Of course, his 2010 debut was a disaster when he came in the 9th inning against St. Louis. And in 1 inning allowed 3 hits, walked 2 batters, 1 intentionally, and surrendered 5 runs. We saw Massett in the game here yesterday, a scoreless inning with a strikeout and a walk. Alfonso Soriano rounds it foul. Outstanding work today by Gorzolani. He allows the 1 unearned run in 6 1/3 innings. 1-2 to Soriano. Did he go around the appeal? Yes, he did. Now Mike Fontenot, the second baseman, 0 for 3. His bounce to the mound, fly to center, and had a hit taken away on that sliding catch near the line by Chris Dickerson his last time up in the 6th. Arthur Rhodes is getting loose in the Reds bullpen. John Grabo, a southpaw, loosens for Chicago.
You know, Tom, the starting pitching thus far has been pretty good from the Reds. And the bullpen work has been a little bit shaky, but when you've had to have them come in, they've done okay. When you've had to have them pitch at the end of the ball game, they've done all right. But the hitting right now, if the Reds don't start hitting better, it's going to be bullpen matchup after bullpen matchup until they start swinging the bat.
I mean, you look up and down, and everybody can get off to a bad start, have a bad week. But that has been almost collectively the entire team from an offensive standpoint. Now, there are guys like Stubbs is a perfect example. You know, he hit the big grand slam the other night to win the game in the 8th inning. And in the same game, he had a triple. Well, outside of that, he has 3 other hits and has struck out nearly 10 times.
Now, a guy like Stubbs, you can expect the ups and downs from, either the greatness or a very difficult at bat, because they're young players. Roland, Cabrera, Phillips, Votto, Hernandez, Jay Bruce, Johnny Gomes, everybody else that's on that field, I don't expect that from. I expect them to put the ball in play with some regularity and to get the ball into the gaps.
Now, maybe Roland began to turn the corner there in the game today. He's drawn a walk and has a couple of hits.
This ballpark is not a pitcher's ballpark. It is a hitter's ballpark.
Giovanni Soto, the batter, after the walk to Fontenot. And Massett will turn and throw over to first. And you're right, Cowboy. I mean, I didn't mean to single out Stubbs. It's just I was getting to the point of the number of strikeouts that so many of these Reds players have the early part of this year. We mentioned they struck out 13 times in the game yesterday. And here through 7 innings, they struck out 9 times.
Well, the thing that jumps out at you is not only the strikeout numbers, but who they came against. They came against Tom Gorzalot.
And Massett having a hard time finding the strike zone. And Orlando Cabrera going to come in from shortstop and just try and give him a few words of encouragement before this 2-0 pitch to Giovanni Soto. Should be 2. Roland. Phillips turns it over. And Soto able to leg it out.
Tell you what, Soto was getting down the line, because that was a pretty good turn by Phillips. The ball was not hit hard to Roland.
Pinch runner going to come into the game now to run for Giovanni Soto. Tyler Colvin will come on and run for Soto as Chad Tracy is announced as the pinch hitter. And Nick Massett will stay in there to face a left-handed batting Tracy. Tracy looked like he was going to be a very good player for a long time when he initially came up with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Having thrown all the way to the backstop.
Massett has got to get back to that confidence of challenging the strike zone and not trying to make the ball do so much. He's trying to sink that ball 3 feet, and it ends up at the backstop.
One and other Chad Tracy with a go-ahead run at second base, and a breaking ball is in there, a strike. Tracy had some monster minor league seasons. He was only down there for 2.5 years coming up through the Diamondbacks organization. In 04, he came up and hit .285, knocking in better than 50 runs over the last 4 months of the season. There's a roller foul. The following year, as an everyday player, he hit .308 with 27 home runs and 72 RBIs. Then the next year, hit another 20 homers with 41 doubles and knocked in 80. And you're thinking, now here is a guy you want around for a while. And then all of a sudden he had a devastating knee injury, and he missed so much playing time. Only played in 76 games the next year, 88 games a year after that. And then by the time he came back, he lost his job to Mark Reynolds as the everyday Diamondbacks third baseman. And he has gone on strikes. So the Reds will come to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning. Cabrera, Votto, and Phillips due up in a 1-1 game. Good hitting. First major league at bat, had a single to center. His next major league at bat, he had a single in the right. So here we go, tied at 1, heading for the bottom of the 8th inning. We bring you up to speed on Aroldis Chapman. Look at those numbers. 4 2/3 innings. Has allowed 4 hits, thrown 83 pitches, walked 1, and fanned 9. In his debut for Louisville, that game in Toledo. A couple of changes defensively for the Cubs as we begin the bottom of the 8th inning. Tyler Colvin stays in the game to play left field. And a new battery. Coy Hill takes over behind the plate. And John Grabo takes over on the mound. And that is a base hit by Orlando Cabrera to begin the inning.
That's Cabrera right there, trying to shoot it right between the first and second baseman, Lee and Terrio. I thought Lee was going to catch that, and it just did escape his glove. Terrio got him, but it was too late at that point.
So here's Joey Votto. Both Votto and Bruce, his left-handed batters, hit missiles against Grabo yesterday. Votto had a single into right field, and then Bruce hit that line drive that nearly knocked the glove off of Derek Lee. He was holding a runner on, and that's the only reason he caught it instead of a game-tying double. 1-1 to Votto, a hitless day. Has struck out and twice bounced out to Derek Lee. Both came over with Gorzolani from the Pirates last year. Gorzolani threw the ball so well here today. No two ways about that. In fact, he should have a 1-0 lead in this game were it not for the drop fly ball in left field by Alfonso Soriano, which allowed the Reds to get a pinch hit infield single to bring in the tying run. Votto, who is so normally a very patient hitter, has seemingly been swinging at everything to begin this year. He has only walked twice and really has not gotten very deep into many other counts. And leaving spring training, I don't know if I've ever seen a player more locked in than Votto was. You know, the Reds went wire to wire under Lou Piniella to win the 1990 World Championship, and the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum is celebrating this unforgettable year. You can experience a new exhibit that brings a remarkable story of that 90 team to life. For more information and tickets, visit Reds.com/Hall of Fame. Lead run aboard with 1 out.
You know, it's one thing to swing at everything when you were talking about Votto, swing at everything against the likes of Carpenter or Wainwright, the first 2 pitchers the Reds saw. But after that, most guys don't have that kind of command. You get used to being aggressive with those guys throwing a lot of strikes. Then you start getting guys that aren't coming in there a whole lot, and you lose your perspective of where the strike zone is.
Brandon Phillips is 0 for 3 in a game. Takes up and away ball 1. Brandon grounded to short in the 2nd, did the same in the 4th, and then struck out swinging leading off the 7th. Reds have struck out 10 times in this game today against Gorzolani, Marshall, and now Gravo. 2-0. Francisco Cordero cranks it up in the Reds bullpen should they take the lead. And would love to have a save chance in the top of the 9th inning.
See, that's a good pitch to take right there. A changeup that's inside at 2-0. That's not a pitch that you want to hit. He started to go, saw that it was a changeup, and you hold up. That's a good decision.
Came back with a fastball. It's fouled out of play. Don't forget, after Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio will break it all down with Reds Live, brought to you by King's Hyundai and the King's Auto Mall. Visit KingsHyundaiUSA.com. That'll be coming up after the game, and we will have highlights for you from not just this game, but from Aroldis Chapman's start. 3-2 to Brandon Phillips.
1 walk and 9 strikeouts through what, about 5 innings? That ain't bad.
Ain't bad at all. All right, you start a runner here, 3-2, 1-1 game.
No doubt about it.
3-2 the count on Brandon Phillips. And they're going to send Cabrera back to the bag.
Not only would I send him, I'd put him in a 3-point stance.
Three and 2 on Phillips. Runner goes, and a check swing and a foul ball.
I want to make sure that my guy from first base can score on a ball that gets in the gap. I don't think about staying out of the double play. I don't think negatively.
There's a base hit into left field. Cabrera going to make a hard turn. He's coming to third. Here comes a throw, and he's in there safely. How about that aggressive base running by Orlando Cabrera?
That's why you run them right there. And now the pressure is on the Cubbies.
Was this great base running by Cabrera? A lot of guys still would have stopped on that single.
The play is in front of Cabrera. He's running. The ball had not gotten to Colvin by the time he rounded second. Colvin had to back up a step because the ball took a short hop on him. He couldn't field it coming in. Cabrera sees that. That's an instinctive play by Cabrera. And your instincts are always your best decision makers.
So now the go-ahead run stands at third with 1 out for Scott Rowland, who's had a good day today. A walk, a couple of singles, has scored a run. One and 0 to Rowland. Throw down to first, and Phillips saw it coming all the way.
It's amazing the change in the type of location, the delivery, where the pitches are, when you put runners in scoring position and put the pressure on the opposition. Now the hitter can relax a little bit, and let the pitcher come to you.
Nope, another throw will send Phillips to the bag. Almost makes you wonder if they're contemplating here making a pitching change in the middle of this at bat. A couple of throws over, one by the catcher, one by the pitcher.
You never know.
Pacing around, you never know.
He's checking the stats to find out.
Two and oh the count. And it's low ball 3. Well, he got a green light rolling here. There's no question about it. Doesn't mean he has to swing. You've got the go-ahead run standing down at third base with one out here in the 8th inning. Nowhere close to the strike zone. So now does Lou Piniella bring on Caridad? Apparently he will.
He's already signaled for it.
Ramon Hernandez coming up. The Reds have him loaded in a 1-1 game, 1 out in the 8th. Largest selection of official gear anywhere, and get it straight from the source. Shop the Reds.com official store. A 1-1 game. The Reds have them loaded with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ramon Hernandez the batting. Esmailin Caridad comes on from the Chicago bullpen. He got the loss here in the series opener. Ball 1 up and away.
I wonder if he's thinking about the last time he pitched with the bases loaded.
Well, the last time he faced this guy, which started that 8th inning. After walking Johnny Gomes, Caridad walked Ramon Hernandez. 2-0. The Reds then got a bunt hit from Dickerson, who was sent up there to sacrifice the runners over. And got the grand slam from Drew Stubbs.
But I mean, Caridad has got to be thinking that last time I had the bases loaded, I gave up a grand slam.
The 2-0 pitch popped up behind the plate, and boy, the Reds got a break right there.
I mean, you're only human. It's got to be in your mind. The bottom line is whether you can overcome it and throw strikes, or whether you throw the thing up there halfway up the backstop.
Well, the Reds had a chance to break the 1-1 tie in the 7th inning. Jay Bruce and Drew Stubbs struck out with the bases loaded. And here in the 8th inning, they're loaded for Ramon Hernandez with only 1 out in the inning. Down the right field line, bending foul. Cabrera started the inning with a base hit. 1 out later, went to third on a single by Phillips. Then the Reds loaded him up on the walk to Roland. And again, Hernandez wants time. Two and two on Ramon Hernandez. Just off the inside corner. Caridad wanted that call and didn't get it.
Check it out on the Fox track. Close, but no cigar.
3-2 on Hernandez. Foul away. Reds with a chance to take the lead for the first time today. And Caridad has walked in the go-ahead run. Lou Piniella has seen this bullpen already through the first week of a Major League Baseball season. Second game of the year. Had a 1-run lead in the 8th inning. Graybo gave up a 2-run home run to Chipper Jones. Friday night here, they had a 3-1 lead in the 8th inning. Caridad gives up a grand slam to Drew Stubbs. In last night's game, Graybo made it interesting there in the 8th inning, giving up rockets in that inning, but was able to get out of the jam, stranding a runner aboard. And in here today, Marshall does an excellent job facing two batters, striking them both out. But Graybo comes in, allows 2 hits and a walk. Here's Caridad, who walks in the go-ahead run. So they're still loaded for Johnny Gomes and still only 1 out.
Well, Tom, there's only so many times that you can pitch Marshall and Marmol. The other time, somebody else has got to step up and take the bull by the horn.
But Derek Lee going to come in and try and settle Mr. Caridad down.
Either that or give the Cubs enough time to get Samardzija warmed up in the bullpen. He's throwing like a cat on a hot tin roof down there.
Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, takes a slow walk out of the dugout.
Caridad is used to throwing the fastball and locating it down and away. The ball that was hit out by Stubbs was a fastball that was middle away, that he got up a bit and it was launched into center field. He's not used to throwing the ball on the inside part of the plate. And every time we've seen a breaking ball come out of his hand, it's almost hit the right-handed batter.
Larry Rothschild just now getting back to the Cub dugout. Johnny Gomes digging in with a count of 2-0. We saw Hernandez a moment ago swing 2-0 and fouled it back out of play. Gomes swings 2-0, lifts a fly ball in the right field. Fukudome the catch, tagging and scoring is Phillips. Nice job by Johnny Gomes. And the Reds lead 3-1. Scott Rowland advances second to third. Real good job there by Johnny Gomes.
This is a point where you have to make sure, regardless of where the pitch is, that you get the ball into the air. And Gomes is a fly ball hitter. The ball is out over the plate. It's up. If you try to pull that pitch, there's a chance you'll pull it on the ground in a double play. Gomes instead stays right on the ball and drives it the other way and gets the job done.
Now Lance Nix.
And now Lou.
And now Lou. Isn't it amazing what happens when you put the bat on the ball and put the ball in play? For those people that say the strikeout is not a big deal, and you hear more and more of that as, you know, in the recent years. Just look at the last 2 innings. Bases loaded, 1 out for the Reds in the 7th. Strikeout, strikeout, you remain tied at 1. Here in the 8th inning, you take a walk to bring in a run. You put the bat on the ball, fly ball to bring in another run.
When you put the bat on the baseball, what ends up happening is not only do you put the pressure on the defense to end up having to make a play, but you take us incremental bits away from the confidence of the pitcher that's on the mound. If he's striking everyone out that comes to the plate, then he feels like he's Superman out there. The object is not only to beat the other club with the score, you got to beat the other club from a mental standpoint.
Well, a sac fly RBI by Johnny Gomes gives the Reds a 2-run cushion, and they're looking for more than that. James Russell, left-hander, who was born right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Of course, that's where his father, Jeff Russell, grew up. After James was born in Cincinnati, his family moved to Texas. And of course, that's where Jeff spent most of his major league career. He pitched for the Reds in '83 and '84, and then the Reds let him get away. Went to the Rangers, was there through '92. Oakland for a year, Boston a couple of years, Cleveland a year, and then finished up back in Texas. And his son James is in his 4th year in the Cubs organization and was a non-roster invitee to spring training. A 14th round pick in 2007. And here he is pitching in the town where he was born.
Left-handed, and figured out how to not only throw the fastball for a strike, but he's got a new breaking ball. And he put together a heck of a spring training. And for a ball club that was looking for any kind of incremental bullpen help, this kid showed a little moxie in spring training, and Lou Piniella said, hey, let's give him a shot.
Hey, Jeff, I don't know about you, and I mean, I'm never going to be a general manager, and, you know, I can't walk in another man's shoes. Nobody can. But I'm always just dumbfounded when you see teams like the Yankees were most of last year until they moved Phillip Hughes down in the bullpen. How a team like the Yankees can spend $200 million on a team payroll. This Cub team spending nearly $150 million on their team payroll. And they really only had John Graybo of all of their entire bullpen to begin this regular season.
With any experience.
With any experience and any success at the big league level. It just boggles my mind.
Well, there are many people around the game of baseball that just don't think that the bullpen is that important, that anybody can close, anybody can pitch middle relief. If they don't make the starting rotation, just put them in there.
Fly ball in a short left field by Nix, and this will end the inning. But the good news is the Reds scored twice. Cordero will come on and try and nail it down. A 3-1 game. The 2010 Reds, the auction winner, and a guest will join the entire Red squad for a photo shoot at the ballpark on April the 21st, and then you get a signed, framed print of that photo. You get Reds apparel, 4 tickets to the game that night up in the Champions Club. Bid now at reds.com/community, and of course, all proceeds benefit the Reds Community Fund. Lance Nix remains in the game in left field. And now taking over on the mound, trying to nail this one down with a 3-1 lead is Francisco Cordero.
Cordero pitched in game 1 against the Cubs, got the save in that ball game. That was the game that the grand slam was hit by Drew Stubbs. He's got a 2-run lead here today.
Here we are in the 9th inning, and this is the 5th inning of this game where Ryan Theriot has led off the inning. And he is the Cub leadoff hitter. That is amazing.
It's amazing how this stuff works, isn't it? Tell you what, if you stick around long enough, you'll see a whole lot of different things happen in this crazy game of baseball.
1-2 the count. Now Cordero, you mentioned the other night when he allowed the 2 hits, the 1 run, the home run by Derek Lee. There's a broken bat by Theriot. What an odd outing that was. He got the out on the controversial call and a great play made by Brandon Phillips to begin the inning. the home run by Lee, and then he got an out of Ramirez. Then all of a sudden, with 2 down and nobody on, Fukudome came off the bench, got a hit. Soriano hit a ground ball to the left field. Roland committed an error. The next batter, Fondo, hit a ground ball to the shortstop, Cabrera, or Giannis at the time, I beg your pardon. He made an error to load the bases before Cordero got Chad Tracy on a roller back to the mound. Two and two the count on Terrio. Fukudome to follow, and then Derek Lee. Struck him out.
Away, 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 up and in. Tough to catch up to, and that pitch looks like it's a good one. When you're looking out over the plate, you see a belt high fastball, and then it just zips up past the bat.
Reds bullpen today. Logan Ondrusek retires, the only batter he faces in the 7th. Nick Massett, a couple of strikeouts, no hits, no runs in the 8th. And now Cordero. Oh, 2. Two balls, 2 strikes on Fukudome with 1 out here in the 9th inning, and the Reds leading 3-1. Reds trying to cap off this 6-game homestand to begin this 2010 season with a series win over the Cubs, although they're not going to just go away and hide. So Fukudome 2 for 2 against Cordero in this series. And the only other hit the Cubs have against Cordero in the series is a man who strides to the plate right now, Derek Lee. He homered, and I mean hit it way back into left center field on Friday night. That was the first time Derek Lee had ever collected a hit against Cordero. Straightaway center field, room for Stubbs. And the Cubs are down to their final out. That ball was hit off the end of the bat. Not by much, however.
Looked like a breaking ball, down and away, and Lee was committed to it before the ball started to break. Still looked like he got a decent swing to it, but as you said, Tom, with that ball breaking down, he got it off the end of the bat.
So now Aramis Ramirez in his career is 4 for 10 against Cordero with a home run. Day which began with Mike Leake becoming the 21st player in the history of baseball since the advent of the draft. It was 1965 to go from the draft, never play a game, never throw a pitch in a minor league game, straight to the major leagues. And what a remarkably impressive performance. Yes, he walked 7, but he only allowed 4 hits and 1 run in 6 2/3 innings. 1-2 now on Ramirez. And behind Leake, Ondrusek, Massett, and now Cordero trying to finish off a 5-hitter. Reds win. Well, after dropping 2 of 3 to the Cardinals, and you're going up against the likes of Carpenter and Wainwright, you come back in a series against the Cubs. 2 teams that finished 1-2 in the National League Central last year. And Cowboy, you finished straight up. 3 up, 3 down.
Well, we talked about it before the ball game about starting pitching and how much difference it would make for this club this year, especially with the strong bullpen right out of the gate. Everybody's throwing the ball well, especially the youngster Mike Leake today. Wow, what a performance.
Well, you can't do better than the first week of this season with this Reds rotation.